Hi guys, Rafael Marcolino here, and welcome to Sapiens every week with a new drum lesson for you. So today we're gonna talk about quintuplets. But before that, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, please subscribe to the channel. Every week I have a new free drum lesson for you. You can follow Sapiens also on Instagram, on Facebook, and if you want to receive every week a new drum lesson straight to your email with transcriptions of every exercise we play here, go to subscribe.drummosapiens.com and subscribe to the mailing list. So quintuplets. It seems to me that quintuplets got really popular. There is a drummer in particular that brought quintuplets to a whole new level, and she's called Annika Nilles. She's a German drummer, and her compositions are mostly based on quintuplets, also on different figures, septuplets and other stuff, but she really brought quintuplets to the spotlight. Not that other drummers never used that before. We have drummers like Virgil Donati, for example, that always used those odd figures, but Virgil's playing is really complex, is really deep, so sometimes it's really hard to actually understand what he's playing, and some people don't really get that he's using those figures, those rhythms, because the context of his playing also uses odd time signatures and polyrhythms. So Annika brought quintuplets in a really simple way to understand. Her language playing the drums is not hard to understand. That made quintuplets really a lot easier to understand in a musical context. But there are many other drummers and many other musicians incorporating those to their playing. There's an Australian guitar player called Pliny. I don't know if you guys ever listened to. If you never listened to Pliny, you should take a listen as well. Pliny uses a lot of those odd figures to his compositions. But anyway, let's get started with quintuplets. If you never tried to play quintuplets before, you should get used to playing sequences of 5 notes and understand that those sequences are made of 5 notes. So let's start by counting every note that we play. So our first step to learn quintuplets is gonna be playing single strokes, and I want you to play really slowly because we're gonna count every note we are playing. We're gonna count groups of 5 in those single strokes that we are playing, okay? So we're gonna start by playing really slow single strokes. And we're gonna count every note in groups of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. Our second step is gonna be to try to accent every first note of those groups of 5s, but we're gonna still be counting every note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. And it's really important for you to repeat that for a long period of time. So your body will start getting used to groups of 5 notes. And it's important to start accenting the first note of those groups because you are teaching your hands to respond to that 5-note figure. And our third step is gonna be stop counting every note, and we are gonna count only the first note of every group of 5 notes, and we're gonna count as we are playing a 4/4 bar. So every first note of the 5-note groupings is gonna be one downbeat of the 4 beats we have inside a 4/4 bar. But you can start by counting every note, and then you can change it in the middle of the process. I think that's easier. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And now we're going to start bringing those quintuplets to the grid. Something that's really important when learning a new rhythm, a new subdivision, is to relate this new subdivision to other subdivisions that you are already used to listen and to play. So we're going to start putting other subdivisions together with those quintuplets for you to start memorizing the relationship between the quintuplet and those other subdivisions that you are already used to play. So our first exercise is going to be playing 1 bar of quarter notes and 1 bar of quintuplets. And now we're going to start using the click. Those first 3 steps, I really recommend that you don't try to use a metronome with that, because you have to really get used to those 5-note groupings, and if you have to pay attention to the metronome at that point, it's going to be really harder. So now we're going to use our metronome to start putting those quintuplets in perspective to other subdivisions. So our first exercise, quarter notes on the first bar, quintuplets on the second bar, and we're going to be looping that. So I'm going to put my metronome in 60 beats per minute, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay, that's our first exercise. And now for our second exercise, we're going to play 8th notes and quintuplets. And that gets a lot harder because with quarter notes, we are letting every beat to rest. And then we are filling those beats with quintuplets. Now we have a completely different subdivision. Now we're gonna play the upbeats also on the first bar. And when we play those quintuplets, it's gonna be a completely different thing because none of the notes of the quintuplet gets played in the upbeat. It's a completely different slicing of the beat. With 8th notes, we are slicing the beat in half. With quintuplets, we are slicing in 5 equal pieces. So that doesn't match. It's different from changing from 8th notes to 16th notes, where you were just playing half the time of each note. It's completely different, so it gets a lot harder. 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. And for our third exercise, we're going to play 16th notes on the first bar and quintuplets on the second bar. And I'm going to still play it in 60 BPM. 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. These are just a few examples on how you can start building that relationship between quintuplets and other subdivisions, and those are the obvious subdivisions. But you can also do the same thing using triplets, 16th note triplets, and any other subdivision that you might think it's useful for you to relate to a new subdivision that you are learning. And you can also put lots of different subdivisions in a sequence for you to build a stronger relationship between all of those. I put out a lesson a few weeks ago that is called Subdivisions Warm-Up that talks a lot about that. You should definitely watch it. And I think it's a really good exercise to actually help you to learn a new subdivision. But to already make quintuplets a lot cooler for you and to start showing a more musical approach of those subdivisions, I'm gonna finish this lesson by showing you a very basic groove approach using quintuplets. So we're gonna use the same idea of the second exercise that we were playing 1 bar of eighth notes and 1 bar of quintuplets, but we are gonna bring this exercise to a groove environment. So we're gonna start by playing 1 bar of a very simple groove, playing eighth notes on the hi-hat and playing the kick drum on beats 1 and 3 and the snare drum on beats 2 and 4. And we are gonna play on the second bar the same thing with your kick drum and your snare drum. The kick drum is gonna play beats 1 and 3, the snare drum beats 2 and 4, but we are gonna play quintuplets using single strokes on the hi-hat. So on beats 2 and 4, we're gonna bring our left hand out of the hi-hat and we're gonna play the snare drum. Okay, because when we are playing quintuplets, the downbeat of 1 is on the right hand, the downbeat of 2 comes on the left hand, the downbeat of 3 comes on the right hand, and the downbeat of 4 comes on the left hand. So in my opinion, that's a really good first step on bringing quintuplets to the drum kit. And just to show how you can make it even cooler, still using the same patterns, I'm gonna just make those grooves a little bit more complex, but you can try in your own to change those snare positions and kick drum positions. But I'm gonna show you an example that I think is really cool, that in the first groove, now in the eighth note groove, we're gonna put another snare hit between the end of 2 and the downbeat of 3. And we're gonna put another kick drum on beat 3, on the upbeat of 3. And in the quintuplets bar, we're gonna try to make something like that. We're gonna put another snare hit on the 5th quintuplet of beat 2. So we're gonna play it with the left hand also. And we're gonna put a second note on beat 3 on the 3rd quintuplet of beat 3. So we're gonna play it together with the right hand as well, so it's not really hard in terms of coordination. And I hope you like it, and I hope you try to complete those quintuplets in other ways than just this example that I'm showing you. But check it out, how it sounds a little bit more complex and a little bit cooler and way more musical, and it actually brings more creativity to this quintuplets environment inside the groove. Okay, that's it. I hope you liked it. If you never tried to play quintuplets before, I hope this lesson helps you to learn how to use that and how to play it and how to understand it when listening to songs that use quintuplets. And don't forget that next week we have part 2 of this lesson, where we are going deeper inside groove possibilities using quintuplets. So I see you next week.